All right, Michigan football has a huge matchup against Nebraska, and I'm telling you, it is huge. It is a really, really big matchup. I think in a lot of ways, this has a similar feel to the Michigan-Oklahoma game, except this is a winnable game in Nebraska, whereas I don't think the team was ready to win in Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma helped prepare us for Nebraska. It helped prepare us for what we would need to bring and what it takes to win big-time football games on the road, all right, in the Big Ten or in the SEC. That's what we're seeing. So they did something that was kind of sneaky smart. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Michigan football decided to have a players-only meeting. All right, it was a players-only meeting, provided a reset for Michigan football following its loss 2 weeks ago at Oklahoma. All right, here's more on the captain-led meeting that was centered around remaining united in difficult times. So this is interesting. This is really interesting. I'm going to go through some of the quotes that we heard from players. And the first one came from Jordan Marshall. He said, "We lost in week 2 last year, and it was a dividing factor with our team." Okay, that was Texas, I do believe. Michigan running back Jordan Marshall told the media on Tuesday, "We had a player-led meeting this week. The message was to come together. We have to be stronger from this moment." Now, I will admit, the first time I read this, I thought Jordan Marshall said we lost in week 2, and it was a dividing factor. But what he actually said was we lost in week 2 last year, and it was a dividing factor for this team. You saw the team come back. They got a couple wins. They beat USC. The year got off to a decent start. We couldn't throw the ball, but then they started to lose ground. It was really that simple. They started to lose ground. And ultimately culminating in, oh my goodness, we're 5-5. And we have to beat Northwestern in order to become bowl eligible. And then we have Ohio State looking us down the barrel. But they end up winning 3 in a row. Northwestern, Ohio State, Alabama to end the year. And it goes really, really well. We don't want to let the year get off the rails like it did last year. All right. Hogan Hansen, another younger player on this team, had this to say: "It was definitely helpful to bring the players together and let everyone say how they feel about everything going on." This is, again, like I said, Hogan Hansen. "It shows our strength as a team. Connection is our catalyst to being a great team." Went on to say everyone had a sense of what was going to be said and what we needed to do to get us back on track and going in the right way. Our captains conveyed it well, and everyone was on the same page. So you have a team that's getting on the same page, and I think a lot of this really shows in the execution. They lose to Oklahoma, and it felt like people were going almost at like 3/4 speed out there. Like the defense still held pretty well, but there wasn't that urgency. The offense looked like it was playing in the mud. Like we saw that. And then against Central, of course there's a big difference in talent. I know that. Oh my goodness, I just slipped. All right, proof that we do them live. One take. All right. Whoop. All right. So anyways, I understand it was a big difference in talent, but at the same time, you have to look at it and say, all right, they played faster. They played together. They played on a string, I think is the best way to call it. And it was there. All right. So here's what Jordan Marshall ended saying. He goes, "Michigan has always been about putting your head down and going back to work. We're going to have to win on the road. The guys are embracing it. I'm excited to see what this team does. We're in a really good spot right now." That's what you want. So now let's shift our focus and talk about Nebraska. Now, all the articles you're going to see, everybody's going to be talking about is the 2 5-star quarterbacks. They're going to be talking about Dylan Raiola and Bryce Underwood. And yes, they are important. And yes, Dylan Raiola almost certainly should be the better quarterback on Saturday because he has a year of experience on Bryce Underwood. They were both 5 stars. They were both the number 1 player. They were both extremely highly touted. They like everything about them. But that is not how this game is going to be won. Yes, you can't make a lot of mistakes. But I am telling you this, outside of maybe wide receiver, Michigan should be better at every single position on the field. Wide receiver is questionable. Defensive backs is questionable. They have the number one pass defense in the NCAA right now, Nebraska does. Now, again, they played like Akron and Houston Christian or something like that. Texas Christian. I don't know what it was. No, it wasn't Texas Christian because it wasn't TCU. All right. They have not been playing difficult teams. It was Akron and Houston Christian. When they played against Cincinnati, they held the run, but they only won 20-17 and they gave up a ton of yards on the ground. So, and their offense wasn't rolling. So, I believe Michigan has a significant advantage when it comes to two areas. Our defensive line versus their offensive line. All right. Dylan Raiola can be the better quarterback. Dylan Raiola, if you look at his PFF grade, this year, and even you can go back to last year a little bit, his PFF passing grade on a scale of 0 to 100 is like a 91 or an 89 or something ridiculous when he has time. When he's facing pressure, it goes all the way down to 39. I just want to be clear on that. If our defensive line can get pressure on, Nebraska's talking about how good they think their offensive line can be. They have guys talking about winning the Joe Moore Award, but it hasn't been great. It hasn't, and it wasn't against Cincinnati. And so I think our defensive line has a significant advantage. If we can continue to get consistent pressure, that will help our defense big time. Another advantage that we have is on the other side of the trenches. Our offensive line is not proven yet. I understand that. I do. I think they're coming together better. The pass blocking has actually been pretty decent all three games. The run blocking is continuing to get better. But our offensive line is not proven. Their defensive line is not great. All right, they have not gotten pressure on anyone. Cincinnati ran for 200 yards on them. 100 of those were the quarterback. Over 100, I think like 97 of them were their quarterback. Here's the difference. Yes, Dylan Raiola can throw the ball at this point, should be able to read defenses better, should be more confident where he's going, will probably have a higher completion percentage than will Bryce Underwood. Bryce Underwood should have the ability, maybe he can't throw for 250 yards like he did against Central Michigan, but I'm telling you, he can still run for 100. And if we're willing to allow him to run in this game, and I'm not saying you have to let him run like crazy every single game, that should be an advantage. And when you pair that with Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, this offensive line should be able to move some of these Nebraska players around. These aren't a bunch of 5-stars on their defensive line. This isn't the Nebraska with the Ndamukong Suh. This isn't the Nebraska of the 90s when they were running whatever they were running on offense and just completely mauling and dominating in the trenches. It is not that Nebraska. We can win this game on the ground. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty, and it shouldn't be straightforward. It should be what we saw against Cincinnati, where it's read options, where it's quarterback design runs, it's running back design runs, it's pass plays that quickly turn into scramble running plays off script. There is the ability, and I think overall our talent level, especially our defense, has greater talent than Nebraska does. The offset is that it's at Nebraska. The offset is we have a freshman quarterback. But this is to me, this is a toss-up. This is a toss-up game. But it would be a huge momentum boost for whatever program wins it. Whether it's Michigan saying, hey, we can beat mid-level, decent competition on the road for the first time, other than in the shoe, right? Without Harbaugh, for the first time with a young quarterback, we can prove that we have the talent, a very young team going and winning on the road. This team could grow up really fast, lickety-split. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to be out of town, so don't look for a video for me for the next couple of days, but get back on here on Monday. I'll be doing a video on Monday. Family's going to Mackinac, so hope we have a good time there. And you know that I'll be watching the game on my tablet, all right, on a little iPad action as soon as we get back to the hotel. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.